Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 playing Hearts of Iron 3's Black Ice, and we're playing as America, and we're going to look at Time on Target. And I know some of you out there know what this is, so forgive me, but I do think not everybody understands. This is, and we're, okay, sort of started before the tangent took off on the last episode. If you watched it, I think very good interaction, but we'll continue. So, if the way you normally do artillery, now in World War One, the lines were so static, they could fly over, in their days, do aerial photography, find out where the enemy trenches were, map them out on paper, figure out where their artillery pieces are, and calculate the firing tables, what angle you need to put the guns and all that stuff, and pre-calculate everything for a barrage. And the reason they would do that is so that, because everybody had what they called dugouts, not just the trenches, but the dugouts where they actually sort of lived, that were down deep enough that more or less, unless it was a super direct hit by a very big gun, they would not be harmed in their dugout. And they normally had enough shovels in case the entrance collapsed to be able to dig their way out. So the artillery would be not very effective. You still have some effect, but we won't go into all that now. Now, on a more mobile battlefield, like World War II was, is the way artillery works, and it still works to this day in this way, is somebody up front calls for artillery. We need to shoot at this bunker here. And we're going to presume that it's something that somebody built within the last few days, so it's not on the map. But there's a building over here, and there's a thing over here, a hill or whatever, that are on the map, and they estimate that it's here. So they call in the artillery. And the artillery goes, okay, let me fire around at where I think it is. How close was that to the target? Oh, we'll adjust. And okay, fire again. Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, now that we got that. Okay, now artillery barrage, we all fire a bunch of rounds at the target. Well, given that time, one, the unit can move. Two, if they do have trenches and whatnot, they can get to cover. With time on target, it is designed to, you still may need to do the spotting round, but especially with the campaign in Northwest Europe, they mapped this area of Europe out exceedingly well. There was a huge mapping effort, and to the point of collecting everybody's that they could pre the war's photos, doing aerial photography, and then translating that into, along with known maps, translating that into maps, so that even war games today can use literally photorealistic, every little hedge, every little tree is in the right place, because they did for Normandy and some of these areas that level of detail, and we have those photographs, and some of them are even sort of in 3D because they can do stereoscopic photography, and so you get these maps that are to this day are what it was before the invasion of Normandy, literally down to the smallest details. Well, that's how well some of this area particularly has been mapped. So with time on target, what they do is, if they're going to shoot at this bunker, and they're pretty sure they know where they are, because they can pretty sure figure out where they are on this very hyper accurate map for World War II or modern day satellite generated maps, and they have a very good idea of where they are. And part of the request for spotting shots is so you maybe don't hit friendly troops, as opposed to just simply missing the target. But so they're pretty good. And again, with modern GPS, this is almost assured so long as you're getting that information correct. but even in World War II. So what they would do is set this up for time on target. So if you fire, if 5 guns fire 1 round and they all land, and they're gonna, because you're not just shooting at a single bunker, you're shooting at a bunch of positions around here. A lot of guys are gonna lay flat or quickly dash into a trench or something like that, and we'll call it just fine. I'm not saying they're not shaken up. They're not saying they're not suppressed. I'm not saying they're not getting ready to reposition, meaning run away. Not necessarily flee the battlefield, but flee to another position because this one's been found out. But, so they're getting ready to do something like that. But instead of shooting, 5 guns shooting once, the 5 guns will shoot 1 round. Well, the first round will be way up like this. The second round will be about this. And then it's about like this. And then it depends on how many they get there. This one. And so this trajectory is shorter than the one that goes way up high and comes down. So let's say all 5 guns fire 3 rounds. That's 15 rounds landing on the target simultaneously. That's the idea, is so that it saturates this area before, fire for effect is once you've got the spotting rounds established. So, time on target is landing all these rounds simultaneously or as close as it can be. And the Americans were able to do this. I don't think, unless the British were mostly using different artillery, so they weren't able to do this. And the Germans, to my knowledge, weren't able to do this, partially because the Germans just don't have ammunition. A calculator, more or less, is a person back in World War II, not a machine. And the calculators, and they were often women back in the U.S., calculated a bunch of ballistic information. And so they could quickly look in books that the artillery people had. So they didn't have to do the calculations at the field in the time. And they could look at and go, okay, we shoot 1 round at, this angle, then as fast as we can, change the gun to this angle, and then change the gun to this angle, and all 3 of those rounds will all hit on that same location. And so they had all these tables of artillery in little booklets, that they carried with them, the artillery did. They did all of this more than anybody else in the world had at the time. And so they, had to find a similar, altitude to altitude, because, if you're firing, what's your altitude here and what's the altitude here affects, you missing the target. Because if you're 20, 30 feet down and they're 20, 30 feet above your, whatever the level playing field is, that affects it to you totally miss the target if you don't take those calculations into to effect. So it's not just where it is on the map, but what's, in these hyper realistic maps had elevation standards. So you go, oh, well, we're at elevation whatever, they're at elevation something else. Look that up as part of the table and not just distance. So they were able to do it. So time on target is a very, now we have ballistics computers. Yes, now that is computerized. I do sort of hope, not just for tradition's sake, but just because I don't trust computers to always be there and always be working, that I do hope the Americans and most Western militaries do train their officers how to do the old style stuff, just so that they know it. Not that they're ever going to use it, but just so that they know how to do old style artillery calculations. So it's not a lost capability just in case GPS disappears because somebody shoots a bunch of nuclear warheads into space that won't have a blast effect because it has very little blast effect in space. Unless you're basically impacting the satellite. But shoot up EMP, nuclear weapons that go off that create big EMP fields up in orbit. Now, they may shoot them high enough so that they don't affect Earth, or they may shoot them up just so that they affect Earth as well, but they might not want to black their own stuff out. But they just black out the GPS satellites and just turn them all off. And I'm sort of not terribly surprised because I don't think Russia wants to expand the war, but if Russia were to turn off the American satellites that are giving GPS, but maybe the Russians are using the GPS satellites themselves, so they don't want to do it. I don't know. But yeah, they need to be able to do this. They all, yeah, some modern artillery is that. They must do. My cousin is a LT in the RN, and they still have to learn navigation by the stars and charts, even though they'll have GPS. Yeah, GPS and inertial navigation systems on the ships that don't require it. Yeah, they should hopefully have to learn that type of stuff too, and not, just in case all these other modern things go away. I'm just old school that way. I still shoot with iron sights, although I don't know if I have any more modern sights. Yeah, one, but not much. I have shot with them, and they are improvement, but still, that Russians cannot attack the U.S. or EU or any other country's satellites. That would be war. How is a pipeline different than a satellite? Now, maybe that pipeline was owned by Russia, but I don't know. I don't know. Hello, Mr. Duck. When people play, say, almonds meal like cyanide, they mean bitter almonds, not sweet almonds. Okay. Good to know, Mr. Duck. How are you doing today? Okay, so that's time on target. I know, sort of a little distraction there, but okay. So we've got time on target. We're readjusting for that. Let's again move this down just a little bit. We're trying to maximize production here. Somewhat dealing with getting a lot of other things going. Okay, I'm trying to focus mostly on things that we're actually either building or likely to build. And fortunately, the lack of my preparedness in production of things like refineries does not affect our ability to research stuff. So America is very ahead on researching things. Okay, we'll do that. You can die from a handful of, bitter almonds have up to 9 milligrams of cyanide in them. Okay, well, good to know. I know I've never really liked almonds, so I'm going to stay away. Oh, I'm doing very good. Because the pipeline could be done covertly, we cannot prove it was them. Yeah, well, one thing, I don't want to get too sidetracked, but, North Korea is again shooting missiles off, and some are just sort of out here. A few of them flew over Japan. Back in the early 2000s, basically when Obama was president, maybe Bush, but definitely Obama, North Korea was shooting a lot of ballistic missiles up really high. And they would get up fairly high, and then they would explode. And it was often reported in the media. I don't know what actual governments privately are thinking, but that these were failure test missiles, and these were missiles of a scale that could carry a nuclear weapon. And it was pointed out that the missiles, and that the missiles were all blowing up just at about the right height for an EMP, electromagnetic pulse, which will fry most electronics, basically, and I'm not an expert on this, but basically things that are not in Faraday cages. But supposedly you can harden the general electrical grid infrastructure enough that it can still function and survive these if you build it that way, but they don't. And so that these aren't necessarily failures to launch. These are an attempt at developing a missile that can do asymmetrical nuclear war. North Korea didn't nuke. Japan. North Korea just fired a few missiles up and into the, into the stratosphere or above, maybe, up out of the atmosphere and detonated them. It isn't our fault that because of that, all the electronics in Japan are no longer working because we didn't nuke them, we didn't attack them, we just fired something up into space and it detonated. Or some submarine that crudely to the modern ways that, now I know we watch and maybe we would sink it before it got anywhere near us, but crudely sailed out here, sailed off here, sailed out here somewhere, and fires a missile way up in the out of the atmosphere, up into, which America sort of kind of says ideologically, hey, space, no one owns space, we can fly nuclear, or we can fly satellites or whatever above your space, you can't do anything about it. That's just because the U.S. says we can. And so they send a missile up into that anybody's zone, detonate it at the right height to take out, say, just one missile, the right height, take out the bulk of the Western U.S.A.'s electronics, which basically shuts down food because it shuts down all of the trucks. And if they fire it, especially during the day, they'll shut down all of the freeways because they'll be full of cars that'll immediately stop working. And so there'll be no way, literally no way to get food to the people. And so people will starve. It'll be maybe not as bad as a nuclear weapon, but can easily kill millions of people from the effects of the, let alone people that need need insulin, and insulin needs to be refrigerated or frozen or whatever to be stored. Those people are all going to die because they won't be insulin that's usable by them. And people in hospitals will just all die because they'll immediately not have enough electricity to function. And those will die, but the lack of food and the lack of water for the pumping stations and all that other stuff will just mean that they'll be dying of thirst. And to get back to that point is, well, no, Russia just exploded a nuclear weapon up in orbit above its own country. Now, they, like I say, it's high enough that it won't do an EMP back down to ground-based systems. A few airplanes might fall out of the sky, but that's no big deal. And sort of like when they shut down the Dutch, or the Indonesian flight or the whatever KLM flight. That was an act of war. And that's why Arno, who's here, who hates the Russians, partially because of that very incident. The Netherlands didn't declare war on Russia. And so if Russia blows up satellites over its own territory, because it may claim the space above Russia, and they may be very sure to not even blow it up over Ukraine, blow it up over here, but take out all the GPS and be ready to, as the next GPS comes, system comes orbiting in, another one goes up, and 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 they're just detonating them up in space above their own country. They're not attacking American satellites. What? Why are American satellites in our space above our country? And we're not talking way out at the moon's orbit. We're talking about fairly damn close orbit. We're not talking about, and to go out to proper synchronous orbit, out at the equator or some other place, but sitting out there, they've got to be way out there, and that's way out past the GPS satellites. Those satellites wouldn't be affected by this, likely. I don't think, but I'm not sure. So yeah, they might be able to get away with obliterating satellites over their own territories without going to bigger stuff. Okay. Let me come back here. Don't mean from Mars upon, according to Facebook, it was you guys. Yeah, well, don't trust Facebook. I don't. You can shield stuff. Most battlefield computers are meant to be shielded. Yes, I know you can shield from EMP, and I know you can, and I know you can also go primitive, like a 1950s automobile will run just fine after an EMP. I'm not sure sort of where the cutoff is. So some electronics will just continue to work fine. Older stuff and you can shield stuff. I don't know what levels of shielding it requires. I'm just not an expert on it. I just know it exists. NATO doctrine is to treat an EMP detonation as the same as any other nuclear detonation and will result in the same response. Right. But if Russia detonates a nuclear weapon somewhere inside Russia, I almost said Soviet Union, but inside Russia, that's Russia detonating a nuclear weapon inside the Soviet Union. And what I'm talking about is not detonating a EMP over NATO territory, or even one that affects. I was talking about Korea doing something crazy. I'm talking about a rational Russia not detonating a EMP that's going to affect Poland or the Baltic states. No, it's just going high enough to take out satellites, low-level satellites over Russia, not low-level satellites over Britain or some other place. So they're just doing, at most they could claim, they could just claim, well, we're just testing, missiles and nuclear weapon missiles and whatever. We're not targeting anything. They could claim, or they go, we're shooting down satellites over non-Russian satellites over Russia. We claim the space above us, and if you fly anything over there, we have the right to shoot it down. So if you want, go ahead, fly it over, but we have the right to shoot it down. They could say, and they'd have a point. I think Arno's a bit lower. You pointed at Friesland. Okay. Yeah. I've just right of Rotterdam. Okay. Yeah, so lower going through. Okay, I was joking. It was meant smiley dance. Okay, I don't know. Actually, there's a moratorium on nuclear test. Yeah, I know, but I know the British Ministry of Defense calls the invasion of Ukraine illegal. So it's sort of like all these anti-gun people that are saying, we need to outlaw guns. That'll make us safe. And these are this, and I just go, well, why not outlaw murder? Well, but if we make it hard to get guns, because they'll go, yeah, murderers aren't going to follow the law. We know that. But we want to outlaw the guns to make it harder to get them. You mean harder to get like drugs that seem to flow freely? That if there was a desire for people to buy guns, they would be flowing into America. Because Russia or North Korea or Iran would sell guns to the same people that sell, import illegal drugs, to import illegal guns if it was if it was profitable, and they would flood America with guns that way. So, like they flood drugs. So the same people that are wanting to ban drugs and have shown an unwillingness to win the war on drugs are going to also be doing the same thing with guns. So, yeah, I don't think that's going to work out well. At least that's my estimation of it. So, yeah, if you're already invading, well, I love guns, but you Europeans, Mr. Duck, don't seem to, because you don't seem to have very many guns running around your country. So, we both know the purpose of Russian attack on U.S. military assets in space or anywhere will result in war. I don't know that it would. It might, but I don't know. But what does Russia think? What does Russia think the Biden administration will do? Because because I often slip up, Biden may order a nuclear strike on the Soviet Union, and the military people may wander around the map looking for where the Soviet Union is, and not find it, so not strike back. And do remember the American military, in the name of General Miley, called up somebody in China and said, no matter what Trump tells me to do, I'll call you before we attack you. So don't worry about being attacked in Trump's rhetoric. A fucking American general, without the permission of the president, I'm sure Trump didn't give that permission, calls up China and says, I'll be an informant to you before we do anything. Now he's thinking like deploy ships or something or attack. So don't worry, he's just being a hothead and saying stuff. I'll let you know before we attack so that you can withdraw your forces so we won't attack or whatever, presumably. So yeah, maybe he's called Russia up and told Putin, I'll let you know if any of your actions are actually going to get a U.S. response. So just, you can call me up and we've war gamed what we'll do. And so like, if you want to know what we're going to do if you shoot down satellites. And, shoot down satellites. Oh, that's an actual true embargo. Or maybe that's an actual true blockade or whatever, so maybe Russia knows what the response would be. That's just the kind of thing. Eurovision song, I don't care about that. I do look forward. Okay, I don't care about World Cup either. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm very confident in our leadership here in the West. We're pushing into there, that's good. Okay, division headquarters have advanced, that's nice. Yeah, 45. We do good. Thank you. He did more. Oil. Troy Franco, Spain, what is that? No, we don't. Okay. Advanced armor designs. Okay, that is good. Yeah, 45. Stop that. Shift that over to our light armor so we can improve that. Get basically the Chaffee type thing. Small air search radar. I believe that is here. Okay. Well, we can do here. Yes, just improve. And what is still proximity fuses? Oh, those things. Our proximity fuses, is it under? No, I have my problems with what the Black Ice team does, but I do think they've done also a bunch of wonderful stuff. So it's a love slash annoyance sort of relationship with all this stuff. I like to try to find it, but so I learned where it is. Maybe it was down here in special. No. Okay. All the ones. Oh, division headquarters here. Okay. Did I do the wrong one? Undo it here. I think I did. So, well, but we don't want that one there either. So, okay. I know we're in 44 and we can do 45, but I mostly don't want to do that right now. Hey, thanks for following, Green Warber. How you doing? Well, yeah. Very good to hear. And here. Use that to support that attack. We've now, I think, have cut, again, Italy's ability to supply through here. Tremendous firepower technique. Yes, tremendous. And it's firepower. Thinking it's here somewhere. Again, maybe it's there's time on target. See it here. Yeah, there, it's a one and done. Okay, good. Let's continue maybe with some of these naval if there's any more 44. What I want to do now. Okay, we can do fighter pilot training. We're going to do this stuff as efficiently as possible. Now, we secured this, so you attack up there and you support the attack. You need to take. Okay, how long until? Okay, 64 hours. That's a long time. But keep on. As soon as you can, go that. I lack supplies enough to be able to invade because I can't supply once I get there. Until we take the Suez, then I can start supplying again into the Mediterranean, but around Africa. Okay, yes. Okay, we won the battle there. Good. Reinforcing the units that need it. Reading other forces. Okay, they've made it to here. And yes, push. Just keep, because you see all these retreating units and we're not letting them pause to get reorganized. Okay, who wants to trade? Bolivia, no thank you. Twin engine fighter prototype has advanced. Very nice. Engine. That'll be okay. Now what we need to do is come over here because we moved our fleet out. Now they're still patrolling around. We still have fuel and reserve. Where is our big fleet? Here's our big fleet and our invasion fleet. Okay. That's pretty weak. So what I think we're going to do here is put you on board. You guys are some of the better invasion type forces. You guys head for Guam. Somewhat slower big fleet that hopefully will keep about the right pace for the. Oh, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. No, what? Oh, these guys went on this. Oh, shoot. Okay. No. No. Okay. Everybody here off. Stay in port. Okay. Let's merge some of this. Okay, let's give them all the transports. And how are they doing for destroyers? Okay, pretty good. Pretty good. So I'll leave that there. Actually, we'll make this a little larger. That way that everybody gets on the right ships. That are well escorted. Leave 2 divisions. No, yeah. 2 divisions. Okay, they'll follow the same path, but they'll be slightly slower, so hopefully the carrier fleet will clear the way. Hey, Exurgent. I'm doing well. Well, I've been thinking, I don't know when we get a chance to talk. I know our schedules don't always match up, but I've been thinking about starting work on the next version of Third Reich events and things. I'm somewhat, not fully, somewhat along your line of making something a little more contained from black ice, but still requiring black ice. And I don't want to go into too much here, just what I'm thinking, but somewhere along there. When will you nuke Japan? It's the only way? Yes. Well, fortunately or unfortunately, I have not really been doing any of the nuclear development. So, not anytime soon, I'm afraid, Arno. Maybe I should have been doing a Manhattan Project more. Well, that would be good. We can talk about what to do. I don't know. Yeah, we can talk about it. I don't know how much. I mean, I could use some help. We can figure out what should be done. I don't know. Okay, Plastic Gangster. I have a mod or a sub mod for Black Ice. I call it Third Reich Events. And yes, I did sort of, not entirely, but sort of steal the name from the old Avalon Hill game, which I loved. It is an event mod that is becoming more and more than an event mod for Black Ice. So, and it's focused on Germany. But that's what that's doing. So that's what that is. Okay, industrial production advanced. Very good. That will help me out. 46, that's too far in advance to do that. Discord is the best way for both voice and chat, probably, or as well as text chat. That's probably the best way, and that's where and you can also ping me because I'll hear a ping on Steam, because otherwise if I have the pinging notification for Discord, it would go off too often in the middle of streaming and other things. so I turned that off. But a much fewer number of people I'm friended on Steam, and most of them don't ping me unless they actually want to talk to me and not just because of messages happening. Okay. So if I think we may be friends on Steam. If not, you can probably find me. It's gamer_1745 there, like everywhere else, or we can hook up on Discord and make sure that you get the right friend thing there. Okay. I've got a mic. No, just a bad one. Okay, Mr. Duck. Very important mineral which produces chlorium, which Germany needed desperately in high temperature alloys such as jet engines. Okay. Yeah, I know they did. Okay. They just give a rough time this weekend, and I will call you. We are well. Do you want it in about 2 hours or 2.5 hours? I don't know if that's a good time for you. I have a mint copy of Advanced Third Reich Unpunched. Oh, wow. Advanced. Well, to me, Advanced was a... because I did play that. What I had was a... I had... My set... Much of my set got ruined when a in-roof air conditioner that I left on dripped so much liquid out that it collapsed the office ceiling tile. It was set up in an office on a table there, onto the map, and ruined so much of it. And I haven't played it since. I saved whatever was savable, but I had two sets that I sort of combined with in the saved part of it, a metal box with little plastic drawers in it for the units, and I had way back when, I forget how, but sent away and got a loose leaf binder, paper to put in a loose leaf binder that had the Advanced Third Reich rules, the advanced rules, and there was, and I still have it somewhere, a good copy, though I've done photocopied and took some elements out of it, is a published magazine that had a bunch of alternate stuff in it. And one of the things was in a map extension that extended it down into Ethiopia. The Ethiopian front. Not like trying to go worldwide or whatever, but just sort of extended down here. And I photocopied that and glued it onto a piece of cardboard that I could put up to the Third Reich map. And then hand colored because it was just black and white, but hand colored in the map to match the rest. And that was sort of my big playing map of Advanced Third Reich. And so it was a loose leaf set of rules that I had for Advanced, not just Third Reich. So that's what I had. Question: have you ranted today, or are we just dropping it? No, I'm going to not rant, but I'm going to answer. I'm going to answer what oh my god, because he's nice enough to respond. I want to give my viewpoint. I'm not attacking him. I think he's a good guy and all that stuff. Thank you, Arno, for posting the Discord up there if anybody wants to get in. Yeah, the General, that's right. It wasn't the General. It's sort of a special issue of the General for Third Reich. And I got that. And that's so the, like I say, loose leaf rules, and that a general special issue was sort of as advanced. And sometimes I played with some of the more silly rules things they added, but it was glorious back in the day. And I even bought Third Reich on the computer and played it, but it really sucked. So yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Third Reich. The closest thing to Third Reich nowadays on the computer is Warplan. I know Alvaro, the dev for Warplan. I mean, I've talked to him on Discord several times. He's actually a member of the Discord channel. That's because we talk there. Not that he hangs out there much. He's busy doing global Warplan now. But because he was also a big Third Reich fan back in the day, and he sort of basing it out of that more than Strategic Command's game, which he's done some work on that, helped those guys out way back when for some of Strategic Command. So yeah, if you want to play if you want to play Third Reich on the computer today, the closest thing I would say is the base game of War Plan, not the Pacific one. That would obviously be a Pacific version. So, and he's tried to improve on it. But it's very much so it's not like a faithful representation of Third Reich on the computer. No, he's taken what Third Reich was and improved it for the computer, and I think has done a wonderful job. So if you're okay, see him, Mr. Duck. See you later. I ain't got it yet, but want War Planet looks like a pure hex and computer war game translation. Yeah, that's basically what it is. So and it's 2-week turns. It's very similar to Strategic Command World at War. But it answers some of the stacking problems that I have with Strategic Command. Now you can't stack ground units, but instead of having separate specialty units, in Strategic Command, like an anti-tank unit or whatever, you sort of adds one specialty to a ground unit. That sort of makes it stacking, and you can stack as much naval units in either one hex or one port that you want, and you can stack an air unit on top of a ground unit and naval unit if it's in the port. So it does answer some of my stacking problems with Strategic Command. Okay, Exurgent. Have a good meal. Yeah, there's some things that, like I say, I think Strategic Command does better. Okay, we're going to stop this attack before it gets too far out of hand. We're being counterattacked there. Now we're doing that well. Industrial Zone Organization, that is here. Okay, I think we're good enough on all of that. We got all of that. These add to an air. What those do is take one of these air bases that are here, and every one of these adds additional stacking ability for air units on the air base. Just to know what industrial efficiency. Medium velocity gun. Okay, which is the next one there, which is here. Okay. Continue with pilot trainings for 44. Oh, we got a lot of heavy bombers. A lot of heavy bombers. Aircraft, which I think is grayed out, yes, and we can come down here and we can look at pilot training to make our aircraft function better. I like strategy. So yeah, you might want to Green Warbler. You might want to check out War Plan. I also know Bill and Hubert from Strategic Command. I have not talked to them in voice chat, but I've texted with them a bunch of times, and they've also hung out when I've streamed their games for them. So I know Bill and Herbert, who are the two main devs for Strategic Command. So it's sort of like, friends wise, I know all these guys and I like them. So I think they're all doing a good job with their game. But they're different games, and they like each other too. But yeah, Strategic Command does some of the, and not to my level of events that I've made for Third Reich events, because it has hundreds of events, maybe 1,000 or more. I don't know. I could look, but and a lot more detail. So it doesn't come to my level. But they got more events. They got some stuff they do better, I think, in Strategic Command than they do in War Plan. But most of the problems that I have with Strategic Command are answered in War Plan. So you might want to take a look at that. And Green Warbler, if you want, you could scroll down there on Twitch, because I don't know if you realize, but I'm also live on YouTube at the same time. So I'm talking to the two audiences. And nobody said anything over on Rumble yet. I'm watching. Though I don't watch the Facebook stream. No, that would come back through. No, that does come back through the restream. So because I've seen Arno's posts over there for that. But you might want to go check out my YouTube channel, which there's a link if you scroll down on the stream page for Twitch. And there, look around my page, and you'll see a bunch of different streams for War Plan. So, or not, well, mostly videos, not streams. So if you want to check that game out to see if it's something you want, I would, not just to convince you to watch my streams, but I do always promote up the idea that you should check things out like that before paying money for something that you may or may not want to play. Just because I like it doesn't mean you will. It may be just as problematic, or whatever, I hate using that word, just as bad for you as it is Strategic Command is, or something. I don't know. Now you can see here we're running out of supplies because Britain can't supply into here well enough. And that's because they've lost Gibraltar, not because they don't have enough transports, though that may also be an issue too. Funny enough, I started playing hex and counter games with Third Reich, but the best one, similar scale, was World War II European Theater of Operations by TSR SPI. I know the company. I know of the game. I've never played it. It was very similar, but played even better. I believe you that it could have. I've just not gone beyond War Plan. The one that I was always in awe of, and this was when I was in my teens, way back in the day, was World in Flames. I didn't go to a lot, but I went to a few gaming conventions, and I remember particularly one in which they had actually magnetized the whole damn thing, and sort of brought it in on a sheet metal wall, if you will, and so stood it up at a not quite vertical but an angle, but so that the counters would stick to the magnet, so the paper was, I don't know, glued or whatever to the metal, of the map, and the counters were sort of magnetized so that they were able to move them around and we could watch. And I remember that as being, I never had enough space or friends that would learn it enough, and we didn't have the internet. So yeah, that large, but I remember that large but basic. Yeah, well, but I found it to be very detailed. Though I don't know the other game well enough to compare it. And right now, because of these supply problems, is why I haven't moved all of these forces over here. Because one, we are doing reasonably well, and but we can't supply them. So I've always wanted to sort of play. And the computer game, which I hear is good for World in Flames, I don't. Is also fairly expensive, not super, not like the game cardboard game is, but expensive. But it doesn't have an AI, and yeah, now I'm more connected and whatever. I'm sure I could find somebody to play against me, but it's also time of day and when, and I'm not sure what it is currently on it. I know they have a War in Flames computer game, and I'm not following it closely enough. That was always sort of, yeah, we'll buy fuel. Yeah, give us a cushion from what's being drained. May just cheat in more fuel. That was what was really stopping me from playing. Okay, so we're going to take all of the forces that just showed up here. Okay, Marines, Army, leaving that other stuff. Get on board ships. Okay. We're going to invade Saipan. Invasion. Let's see where they go. Okay, they're going up to there. Oh, you guys. Let's look over to naval operations. Okay, we're sinking some of their transport. Somebody's sinking some transport over here. So let's convoy raid aggressively out there with them. They're the ones that are doing the invasion. These guys are going to come up here and protect the invasion. Get up there. Okay. That way, if the Navy nearly bought it a long time ago, but lack of an AI was too, yeah, that's the thing. Even if it's as bad as the because it is more of a turn-based game, so you should be able to program it easier. The difficulty, this is a difficult thing to program. I'm not going to pretend it isn't or something. It is. I'm going to program the AI for Hearts of Iron. For as much as we criticize it, I realize that it's a difficult thing to program. And even if they had a basically decent one, I would be playing it until I just, for some reason, decided not to. I'm not. Maybe something would sort of get in that way, but until that happened, I would definitely be playing it. Okay, you come down here. Onboard. No, yeah. You know, well, with streaming and all, I might be able to convince, I don't know, somebody like you, Plastic Gangster or Exurgent, that might have enough time to set aside a particular day and time a week that we could all get together. The idea of a Sunday afternoon or something. But there's enough other times that I just want to play something, and it's just at random times during the day, and trying to find people that want to play just is a bit difficult. Okay, agriculture advance. I think that's under here. Construction maybe. Yes, 46. Stop that. Okay, good. But more manpower. Infantry guns advance. Nice. No, it's over here. Okay. That Green Command HQ has advanced. That is down here. It's at 47. We can start doing some of the 45 attacks if we want to, because we're in 44. The artillery brigades themselves has advanced. Okay, that's this unit here. No, we might have a few defensive heavies, but not many. Yeah, air defense is a worthy thing to have, but we're also coming over here to try to get like ground crew and whatnot for these various units up to good standards. The greater scope, the more complex the AI, especially in games without a turn structure for the computer to make its move. Yes. Again, if you don't, and I Plastic Gangster may know, but I'm saying you as in the general audience here, if you don't realize Hearts of Iron, I know 3, and I'm pretty sure 4 also, but I know 3 is a turn-based game. It doesn't look like it, it doesn't feel like it, but it's a turn-based based on the hour. It's an hourly turn, and it does sort of roll initiatives. So to us, playing it, it feels like a real-time strategy game, but it is actually a turn-based strategy game with some sort of initiative system built into it every hour. So it is, certain things are calculated every month, certain things are calculated every day, certain things are calculated every hour. And so especially when you're talking about the combat AI, that is an hourly thing, and yeah, it is complex. So I understand it's difficult. I'm going to criticize it because it has problems. One, it's not just being critical, but two, if I don't criticize it and the other people don't criticize it, they or other people, I mean, obviously third edition or Hoi 3 won't get any better because they're not improving it, but they are still working on Hoi 4, and for whatever Hoi 5 maybe someday, long time in the future. They're not currently, the best I know, currently working on it, but probably will come someday. But if they, realize they need to do a better job, hopefully they'll do it. Okay. Yeah, back when it came out on the PC, there was no Twitch or any. Absolutely, had real life. Yeah, didn't have friends online. I expect I couldn't find somebody to play with, but there must be better games by now that the PC version comes out years and years ago. Yeah, I don't know. It's a more structured game than Hoi in that you get like units of like TBF Avengers or whatnot. You get these units as opposed to, and you do have some building, I think, capabilities, but it's more structured than freeform Hearts of Iron either versions of it. Okay, we took out a torpedo boat. Good. Yay. And we took out a long range. Oh, pause. Long range submarine. Winning battles over there. Oh, shattered at Beersheba. Okay, we'll look. Okay. We took that. Okay, no, Beersheba is over here, and these guys were pushing. Okay, stop pushing. Stop pushing. Okay, that was the problem. All right, so we're going to hit these guys in the flank, and these guys will support that attacking flank on them. Running, because again, we cannot get supplies to here. Fucking British lost Gibraltar. Weekly emphasis on some processes and monthly, yeah. I'm going to shore here. Torpedo boat, we lost over here. Okay, whoa. Okay, well, we may be, okay. I want to save this because we're going a little fast here. Let's go save. And medium bomber prototypes have advanced. Very good. Okay, we're coming up with that. Let's come over here and twin engine pilot training. That's the medium bomber. And we're going to end this episode of the live stream. Live stream will continue for those that are hanging out with me. But those watching later on YouTube, I want to thank Tim, Strongarm, Niagara, Timothy, Satoyjet, and Gary for support over on Patreon. And of course, Don Ramirez earlier for a super sticker. I really do appreciate that. Very cool. Really do that. But what I really ask you guys to do, if you can do it, I spend a lot of time trying to make this YouTube channel a success. I made a video asking people to help me before because I do think there is an educational and otherwise type mission more than just entertainment here that I want to continue to do. What I really ask you, if you could do for me, is if you're watching particularly the episodes, if you made it this far, and at future episodes, if you liked the video, if you comment, just say hi gamer or good video gamer or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be any sort of anything important or sounding cool, just the engagement of the algorithm of you saying, and I'll reply back because that also helps the algorithm reply, back and forth. So if you do that, is reply on these videos, it really helps because I want to get this out here to more and more people. So I really appreciate it if you guys would do that. That's what I ask you to do for me because I'm hopefully entertaining and informing and whatnot you while playing this. So thank you very much. See you next time for more Hearts of